I could just play this leading into the game on Saturday. Just play this from now until Saturday afternoon. All right. As far as the ramifications of this game this weekend.
Yeah.
We might need to come back with no music today, Aaron.
Honestly,
just cold, just rejoins every time.
Know what you guys are trying to do to me at this point in time.
Take your coffee away?
This is one of the reasons why you have to understand that intensity isn't just about being loud and in your face. Some of the most intense individuals I've ever been around never said a word. Just looked you dead in the eye and didn't blink. Intensity comes from within.
You good over there?
I love it, man. This is right here.
I'm going to start playing audio.
This is also tunnel time music. Okay, play audio.
Yeah, but like tunnel time music when it's like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen out here. Everybody's kind of looking around like, yeah, let's go. But also I'm getting uneasy.
Look at the eye black.
Here's Kenny Dillingham yesterday on if his message is any different ahead of the Territorial Cup on Saturday.
It's about us going and playing and preparing like we do. And like I've said to the team since I think week 3 is, every game you win makes the next game the most important game. And the more time you win, the next game's more important. Doesn't matter who you play, doesn't matter where you play. It's the most important game because you won the last one. And if you go and win, then the next game's more important than the game you just played. This is the most important game on our schedule because we've put ourselves in position for it to matter, not just from a rivalry perspective, but from a bigger perspective of achieving other aspirations.
Oh, yes, he's spot on. Right there, he really is. I love this. He continues to set the table for his players, and he's so right about that. Yeah, the next game becomes the most important game, and it is a big game. You think of the Territorial Cup coming up against Arizona. Would you say that it's a big game in Tucson, Basinonians? It is huge. The opportunity for the Wildcats to ruin, if you will, ASU's chances of actually competing in the Big 12 championship game. Would you say that is probably important to them? Yes, it is.
Yeah, we've seen some weird games this year. But we haven't seen one like this yet. And look, ASU had a game earlier this season that, remember, they played the final play 30 minutes after they went off the air against Texas State. Like, nobody saw that play. The game on Saturday wasn't the only weird ending to an ASU game. So ASU's had an odd season. The Texas State game was on ESPN. ASU won. They went away. And then 20 minutes later on SportsCenter, by the way, they just made ASU play another play, and they won. So, they've had 2 games that were over and then weren't over. The one on Saturday, going back and looking, I can understand, it's close,
yeah.
But the Texas State game was over. I don't know what they were doing there. But either way, they've had some weird games. It's the first time in school history that they've won 6 one-score games in the same season by 8 points or less. And Saturday's going to probably be the weirdest of all of them.
Yes.
Because this is U of A's bowl game. And we've seen versions of this in the past. And it's not just this rivalry. When you have one team that hates another team and that's their bowl game, you're going to get everything they have. And yeah, if I'm the other team, I'm looking and saying, wait, these guys are going to go to the Big 12 championship in our first year?
Yeah.
If you're U of A, you were supposed to be amazing this year. Do you really want to see ASU go to the Big 12 championship?
No way. No way do you want to see that. But what I love about this, too, once again, there's a lot of people out there, man, is this the biggest Territorial Cup ever? Is it? You know what's cool about that? You can debate it all you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it is or if it isn't. For this team right now, this iteration of the ASU Sun Devils, this is huge. It doesn't get any bigger. It doesn't get any bigger than this Territorial Cup. So it really doesn't matter if this is the biggest one of all time. I heard some dudes debating this.
Yeah.
Is this the biggest thing of all? Is this the biggest Territorial Cup ever between these two teams? Who cares? Because it is for these guys. I can tell you that much. That's all that matters.
And you could say that every year, right? With the Territorial Cup. I mean, if ASU was 7-4 right now, or 6-5 or whatever going into this game, Kenny Dillingham's already talked about the fact that they feel like they were embarrassed last year in this game. So even if this was the first game of the season, that'd be weird. But if this is the first game of the season, there would be a lot on this game when you factor in what's on the line specifically for ASU. I mean, if you really want to take a step back and have that debate of, is this the biggest Territorial Cup ever? You've rattled off a few yesterday where both teams were ranked pretty highly. I mean, there was one where ASU was ranked 4th too. I think there was one where one was 12th and one was 13th. Like, if you start to go through that list, going in, you could make a case for some of those other games. I think this becomes the biggest one, or at least one of the 2 or 3 biggest, if ASU wins, because they're going to the Big 12 championship and a spot in the college football playoffs on the line. If they lose, it's what you just said. It's the biggest to the guys on the field. But if they lose the game and don't go to the Big 12 championship, as far as Territorial Cup history, it's just going to kind of be another Territorial Cup game because nothing major came out of it.
Do we have any sound from Brent Brennan, the head coach of the U of A?
Here he is.
Well, the mindset is this is the biggest game of the year, every year, and that doesn't change. And so, for us, whether we're bowl eligible or not, all that matters is that we're playing the team from up north. And that's something that is so important to everybody here, so important to our coaches and our players. And so we're all in on right now and this week and what we need to get done to play good football on Saturday afternoon.
Oh, yeah. See, once again, it's just set the table, coach. Set the table for your kids right now. You know what the mindset is? This is the biggest game of the year, and that's every year. That's what it's going to be. I'm reading from an article right here where it says, are the Wildcats taking the low-hanging motivational fruit? Are they taking that as a spoiler? Are they that low-hanging fruit of being the spoiler to ASU? And he said, not really. I love that. I don't know if you actually have that cut there, but I love that.
Not really. No, I think it's more about just the fact that we're playing ASU and just what this game means to everybody here, what this game means to everybody in the state, and just what a big game this is in college football.
Not really. He said right there, this is just who we are. I think he was trying to set the table on that. I'd love to know when he gets up in front of his team if that's what he's saying as well. You know what I mean? You're spoiler, hey, us being the spoiler? Why? Because we're 4-7? Why? We're being the spoiler there? Is that what you're talking about? Really? Are you not telling them, we've had a tough year. Let's go finish it right.
That's the sort of thing, if I were a head coach, and I would not be U of A's head coach, but if I were, so this is going to be difficult for me, if I were the head coach of a team in that situation that was in a potentially huge spoiler role, that's the sort of thing I probably wouldn't play up a ton during the week because there's already so much on the line in this game, just as you said. I mean, when we heard it from Kenny Dillingham the other day, too, like he doesn't need to motivate his team to play U of A. But I might, if I was going to mention it right before we went out on the field. You know what I mean? I don't need my guys that fired up on Tuesday for the game. But I might throw it out there at around 1 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, and again, it's just so important, it really is, to get your mind right when you play a rival like this. I remember what it was like in the backyard brawl playing against Pitt. Oh, my goodness. You can't imagine what a big deal it is. Well, yeah, you could. The Territorial Cup is a big deal. It's one of the biggest rivalries, I would say, no doubt about it. But, man, the unbelievable aura that was around the backyard brawl. I just absolutely loved playing Pitt, and it was because of that, because of this feeling, whether it was up there in Pittsburgh or in Morgantown, the vibe, you could cut it. It was palpable. It was so important to win that game. And the fans, the support that you got was off the charts. The same thing is here. It's alive and well with the Territorial Cup, of course. But, man, you got to frame it up for your kids. I was surprised to hear Coach Brennan say what he did.
I hate that you guys played Pitt in mid-September this year. I know that's what happens with conference realignment. A lot of times I like that they're at least still playing their rivals, but you may have to play them in September. This should be the last game on the schedule. your rival.
It should.
That's the way it should be, and it's the way it is, and Saturday's going to be insane.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.